This past year has been the most exciting, overwhelming, and transformative 12 months of my life. I wish I could sit down with first semester me, the girl that stepped off the plane with 2 suitcases and a Pinterest board full of dreams, and tell her these things. So this is the video I wish I had watched on that beautiful fall day when my life changed. The first thing I would tell first semester me: you meet people older than you, locals who know every street better, and classmates who seem 5 steps ahead. This was very overwhelming in the beginning, especially since I came from a very small school, which wasn't really very competitive. So suddenly being in an environment where everyone was doing something and so many people had already lived, they had gone over all of the stress of moving, made me feel so behind. Moving abroad requires energy that most people never spend. It's all those little things that you never actually had to think about before that you suddenly have to think about. But every single daily thing you do, from the way you walk on the crosswalk to the way you talk to people, the way you interact at the shop, these are all things that are given in your culture and in your home. But when you move abroad, these are things that you suddenly have to start thinking about and you have to start doing differently. And it's so overwhelming in the beginning, and it takes so much energy to just process all of that information. And I think that that's something that a lot of people who never move abroad, they just never have to spend that much energy on relearning everything that was just a given. But with that, you're not behind. You're right on time, and everyone who's ever moved abroad would tell you that the first few weeks to the first few months are a very challenging time, and your main priority should be just getting well adjusted into your new culture. Everything else will come afterwards. Second thing I would tell myself is that when you move abroad, you come with big dreams and big expectations, and that's amazing. But don't set this expectation for yourself to achieve it all at once. I think that thinking that within your first year you're gonna have everything you wanted from your university experience is such a painful and unrealistic goal to set for yourself. There will be seasons of growth where so much will be happening and so much will be coming true, and that's so exciting. But then also there will be seasons where nothing seems to be happening. But this is the perfect time. Listen internally what's going on, because when so much is going on externally in those seasons of growth, we can forget to check in on what's actually going on deep down. And it's so important to have this time for yourself to learn what you like and what you don't like, and to just slow down. And that's okay. And slowing down for a little bit doesn't mean that you won't make everything you want true. It just means that it's a season that's a little bit slower. The next thing that I feel like we should talk about is the hustle culture that university promotes. You see people bragging about how little they sleep or how long they study for and work out for, and it's just like a very well accepted norm to be pushing through. And while yes, there will be days and weeks where you need to stay up later or wake up earlier to finish your assignments, to get your work done, to do everything that you need to get done, but this shouldn't be your norm. Like in university, you definitely have time to go for a walk and have a dinner and sleep for 7 to 8 hours and call your family and call your friends. And the earlier you realize that you actually don't have to work harder, you just have to figure out how to work smarter, the easier your life becomes. Because let me tell you, sleeping for 4 hours is unsustainable. And don't let anyone convince you that you're behind or that you're doing it wrong when you're not hustling and sacrificing your health and your relationships because of your goals. Don't let anyone make you feel guilty or unproductive or behind, because in the long run, hustling is not actually a sustainable game plan to your university journey. And I'm really sorry if this was your plan on just hustling through it. It won't work. So time for plan B. So usually when you move abroad, this is the first time that you truly are fully immersed in a different culture. You're with people from all around the world. But with that, you will see how many stereotypes actually are out there. And I personally didn't know that there were so many stereotypes about my culture until I moved abroad and I heard what people told me and I saw the expectations they had of me and what I was capable of. And with that, it's like this urge to prove that you're capable and that you're smart enough and that you're good enough. But then eventually you learn that all the time you spend convincing the people around you that you actually belong, this is all wasted time, because if a person doesn't respect you from the moment they meet you, it's very unlikely that they'll respect you even after you prove how capable and smart and amazing you are. This time you spend proving to the wrong crowd how worthy you are of being with them, the less time you have to find the people that actually are meant for you. Perhaps you too were raised with this idea that humility is the greatest thing that a person can have. And this behavior of telling people why you're so awesome and why you're so talented and why you're so different was behavior that was talked down on because it was considered shameful to lack humility, because other people should have realized why you're amazing, but you shouldn't tell them why you're amazing. Well, when you get to a competitive space, you will need to speak up and tell people why you're amazing. And it will feel weird, but if you shrink and stay quiet and hope that someone will notice you, I have really bad news. No one will notice you, because suddenly there's hundreds of you and everyone is amazing and talented, and unless you're brave enough to take up space, you will never get noticed. I'm gonna hold your hand while I tell you this, but GPA does not matter. Now, people will obsess over their GPAs, especially at BB. It feels like GPA is the greatest measure of how worthy you are in this world. But the truth is, the GPA measures test-taking skills, not intelligence. And by all means, try your best to do as good as you can. But here's the thing, I found myself in the middle of my first semester gaining no enjoyment from studying and just aiming for this GPA, but I was so miserable. And then I was like, how did I have a perfect GPA in high school? And what I realized was I actually just really enjoyed studying. And with this aim of having a perfect GPA at university, I lost the joy from learning that I used to have. And this is wrong. You should enjoy studying. You should truly try to take as much knowledge as possible. You should try to learn as much as possible. But if that does not result to a 1 or whatever a perfect GPA is for you, then that's also okay. So long as you're trying and you're learning, that is the point. And if your GPA would require big sacrifices such as your health, then I would say that maybe you can allow your GPA to drop with 2 points, because you know what, it's not that big of a deal. So people make GPA to be this big deal, and by all means you will need it. You'll need it for an exchange semester, for your specializations, if you're doing a master's. But you don't need to have a perfect GPA to do all of those things. So don't lose the fun in learning, because at university you can learn so much, and I think that that's the beauty of it. Just learn. And maybe your learning will get you a 2 and not a 1. But if that means enjoying the process and actually gaining knowledge you use later, then to me that is a measure of success. Because sometimes in certain subjects I've noticed that the difference between a 2 and a 1 is many hours of memorization. You really have to figure out your opportunity cost in this situation and whether those few hours are best spent there. And the last, but definitely not least important lesson I learned is that you have to make your life fun. And what I mean by this is that in school, your schedule, extracurriculars, your hangouts, they're largely determined by factors such as school and your parents. But even if you don't actively do something, school and your parents, they kind of always seem to find something for you to do. Like, you might not intentionally plan a hangout, but then your school plans a hangout, so it's there. Or you might not intentionally plan on playing tennis, but then your school sets mandatory tennis lessons. But then when you move to university, you realize that there is no one there to make your life more fun or better or more enjoyable, and it is entirely up to you. I remember my first semester, I was so overworked and stressed out, and truly I just couldn't wait for the day I returned back to my country, not because I necessarily was so homesick that I could no longer stand Vienna, but because I was so overwhelmed that I could no longer stand being in that environment and I needed an escape. And then when Christmas break was over and it was time for me to go back to university, I was so sad and just dreading the day I land in Vienna, because I was like, I can't do this anymore. And I had a conversation with my mom, after which I realized that at this point I'm an adult, so it is up to me how I make my life. And if I want my life to be fun, if I want my life to be more stress-free, then it is up to me to find fun activities, to organize hangouts, to go to Christmas markets, or to hang out with my friends, to do sports. And if I want my life to be more stress-free, it is up to me to determine which work is essential and which is not, and to redo my life. And then when I came in January and reviewed my life and everything I did, I started doing things differently because I wanted my life to be more fun and enjoyable. And then I had the most exquisite semester because I knew that the responsibility of having a fun, good time was entirely up to me. And that is a huge responsibility, but the sooner you realize that everything is in your own two hands, the sooner you can take accountability and actually go and live life. There was this quote I read that said, anything you're not changing, you're actively choosing. And this just altered my brain. So, dear first semester me, you're gonna be absolutely okay. And to anyone else who's starting university, you too will be absolutely okay. And to anyone moving abroad to start university, may your journey be messy, beautiful, and completely yours. Embrace the chaos as it is normal and it is part of the fun. And looking back at the chaos is actually so funny. So I promise, while you might be crying now, in a year you're gonna look back and laugh. Embrace all of it, and I hope to see you around. Bye for now.